topic regarding resistance training and weightlifting for youth has been contested topic in the world of strength and conditioning and academia in general. Today I want to first lay out what the research says to help you make decisions for your own children or athletes, if you're a coach that is. Then I will give you some new ideas on how to keep athletes progressing without putting them in danger. First, I want to clearly state that resistance training and the sport of weightlifting in general aren't dangerous as long as they are coached with optimal biomechanics, the loading progressions make sense, and overall the volume is consistent with the age. I'm going to give you some insight on safely progressing youth athletes in a little bit, but let's summarize what we know so far. First, not only is weight training not dangerous for growth plates, lifting weights with appropriate technique creates stronger and thicker bones. Youth can increase strength significantly more with weight training versus normal growth maturation by performing strength training. Plyometrics and explosive movements found in Olympic weightlifting induce improvements in power. Resistance training also leads to improved motor performance skills, improved resistance to sports-related injuries, improved cardiovascular risk profile, and helps with weight management, enhanced psychosocial well-being, improved cognitive performance, and improved chances of maintaining a lifetime of health and fitness. Now that we've gone over the benefits, I want to clearly go over some more practical uses for maximizing those benefits. There should be a focus on perfecting functional movement patterns such as hinging, squatting, pressing, and pulling. There should be exercises in all planes of movement. Early on, the main focus should be optimal movement patterns, technique, and skill development. You can also begin sprinting and performing basic plyometrics with, again, a focus on the biomechanics, especially deceleration mechanics. Throwing and swinging various implements should also be introduced as well. It's a great time to begin monitoring and progressing various parameters, including power, velocity, and force, which is strength. A big key is keeping the sessions fun, exciting, and short. I will give you a few suggestions based on the literature, and you will also notice the way I use velocity-based training to monitor the progressions of my athletes while keeping them safe, even my own children. So ages 7 to 10 years old, you should keep the sessions 1 to 3 at max per week. The session length should be 30 to 45 minutes per session. You can use velocity on any potential strength movements staying above 0.8 meters per second, which is well above any miss. It's just to make sure you don't load them unintentionally too much. You can monitor power outputs, both loaded and unloaded, with a GymAware. So for example, you can hold 10% of your body weight for a jump, which for someone 70 pounds is like 7 pounds. So in performing unloaded counter movement jumps as well, and measuring makes it fun for the athlete so they can watch their power outputs increase while ensuring max intent. So that's good for you, the coach. I also recommend tracking relative strength markers such as pull-ups and push-ups, of course. Now, ages around 11 and 12, 2 to 3 sessions per week, keeping the time between 45 and 60 minutes at most per session. Now you can slowly move the measurement of the loaded power output from 10 to 20% by the end of the last year. That's of the body weight, and continue monitoring unloaded jumps to see the progression. For absolute strength measurements, I keep the squats above 0.6 meters per second and the presses no more than 0.5, with most of the time well above all of that. Now, ages 13 to 15, you can go 3 at max 5 sessions per week, keeping the time between 60 and at the most 90 minutes per session. Also, consider the principle of specificity, the SAID principle. And that says that training will lead to specific adaptations to imposed demands. So consider not pairing weightlifting with something like cross country. I also recommend still having them participate in multiple sports and activities. I would also consider pushing the strength numbers to maybe 0.5 meters per second for squats and 0.4 for presses, and staying well above any potential miss. Now you should still measure loaded jumps at around 20% of body weight and continue with unloaded jumps as well. Now, ages 16 to 17, starting to get real. You can do 4 and at the max 6 sessions for focusing on minimal effective dose, keeping time between 60 to 120 minutes. Now it's time to really track data at this point, such as relative intensity, average intensity, monotony and strain for anyone who knows what that is, etc., along with all the other parameters we've talked about. At this point, the athlete can begin to push ballistic movements a bit, like the snatch and the clean and jerk, but I still recommend avoiding misses, at the most 1, and at the minute they miss, they should stop. So with the absolute strength movements, I recommend keeping the squats well above 0.4 meters per second and the pulls well above 0.3 and the bench presses above 0.3, and most of the time well above both. To avoid putting athletes at risk and to measure and monitor certain athletic qualities, you can implement these various tests. The 1RM prediction and force velocity profiles are a great way to start getting an idea of their absolute strength ability while keeping them at above potential miss and putting them at risk. It only takes 4 sets at increasing loads to configure both. For example, in the back squat, at this young age, consider starting at a load that they have consistently been performing between 1.3 and 1.5 meters per second, then a load that correlates somewhere around 1.1, and then somewhere around 0.8 meters per second, and finally 0.5. You don't really know their 1RM at this point, so you can't prescribe this in percentages. However, now that you have a predicted 1RM, you can, from then on, you can start to perform both tests at 25%, 45%, 65%, 75%, and 80% of that predicted 1RM that you'll get. And then when they're 16 to 17, you can start taking them at 85%. So the Reactive Strength Index, or the RSI, can be implemented around 16 to 17, which is simply a drop jump, measuring ground contact time and height. The RSI is measured by dividing height of the jump by the contact time on the ground. This is a way of measuring an athlete's elasticity, the stress shortening cycle, and the overall efficiency of the neuromuscular system at the ankle, knee, and hip joint. By the way, the GymAware can measure all of these, by the way. So the Dynamic Strength Index can also be used around 16 to 17 years old if the athlete has been training up to 2 to 3 years. This is a measurement of their peak force potential in an absolute strength movement, say like a back squat, and a ballistic movement like the counter movement jump. This tells the athlete and the coach whether to focus on strength or explosive power in their training, or a combination of both. I want to end by saying that there are way more parameters to measure athletic performance movements other than maxing out. A true RM is simply a test and not that relevant to performance improvements while adding unnecessary risk. Unless you are a powerlifter, I am not sure that a true 1RM is needed now that velocity-based training is in many gyms. I still recommend, by the way, sprinting, broad jumping, change of direction, agility, and incorporating as many athletic exercises as possible while keeping the sessions fun and teaching athletes to love fitness, the most important part. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe below. And if you want to read more about this topic or any of the many topics I've written for GymAware, you can go to the blog section on gymaware.com, or you can search Google for GymAware blog. You can email me at travis@gymaware.com with any questions or any thoughts on potential new topics. Thank you guys for watching.